Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's video is about the full moon in Taurus. And so if you're new here, my name is Dr. Norma Reyes and I am a career mindset coach and a moonologer. And if you haven't heard about moonology is all about using the lunar cycles to plan your life, really. And so today is going to be about the full moon in Taurus, and it's a lunar eclipse, so it's kind of layered. Typically the full moon doesn't have an eclipse, so this happens twice a year, and so this year it is in Taurus. So last year the new moon eclipse was in Sagittarius, and I'm trying to remember what the opposite side, it would have been in Gemini, so the full moon in Gemini would have been an eclipse. So just to give you an idea that the eclipses kind of like move along the different signs. But before I dive into tangents, let me just go ahead and get started on today's video, which is about the full moon in Taurus. And if you are watching and you're not sure when the full moon will happen for you and the lunar eclipse, the full moon goes in and it's going to be for like EST time. It's 6 a.m. Central Time, which is where I'm at. It's going to be at 5 a.m. It's going to be 3 a.m. for those in like the West Coast, PST time. So, as I said, I like to use Yasmin's information, Yasmin Bolin, that's how I'm a certified moonologer, through her program. And so you can get the same information. You can buy her books. You can go to her Moonlight site where she shares questions to ask yourself each full moon, each new moon, and how to plan and using the moon in your daily life. In particular, I like to use it in regards to careers. All right, so full moon eclipses can be very intense energy. And, you know, as I mentioned in my last video about the new moon Scorpio eclipse, sometimes people find this scary, but it's not really a time to be scared, because if you are in alignment, it is really just going to thrust you more into what you want to do. Now, if you're not in alignment, meaning that you haven't been following your intuition, you haven't been following your inner guidance, and there's something that you've been wanting to do, but you've been too afraid to do it, it's going to force you into that. Last week, a lot of major companies had big layoffs. For example, Twitter had a big layoff. So a lot of those people that got laid off might have been people who had just been there so long, and maybe they were ready for a change, but they didn't know how to leave for various reasons. Maybe it was a good job, maybe it was good pay, and sometimes change is scary. So layoffs are not a bad thing. They really aren't. They're scary, but they're not a bad thing. So, as I said, full moon eclipses are intense, but this one in particular is going to be way more intense because it is happening in the sign of Taurus, which deals with money. And so it might be a good time to be looking at your finances and seeing what's going on with your money. And then the Mars is in retrograde, so that's also something to consider when you're thinking about this full moon. Now, each full moon happens and feels differently for everyone, so it's important that you look at your rising sign when looking at what house the full moon lands. So for example, I'm a Gemini rising, and the full moon lands in my 12th house. Taurus is in my 12th house. So for me, it's going to be a lot of cocooning. So probably sometime tomorrow, I'm going to feel totally drained. Right now, the moon is in Aries, and so I'm feeling actually pretty good because Aries is a fire sign. It's in my 11th house. 11th house is a very social house. Meanwhile, your 12th house is a more about like self-reflection, introspection, taking time away from others, doing some reflection, and really it's not a time that you really want to be out with people. So if you think about it, 11th house is all about being social, and your 12th house is like almost the opposite of that. So you might have days that you're super energized, and then the next day you just feel like crap and you don't want to be around anyone, and you might be like, what is going on? That is one of the things that might be going on. Of course, the phase of the moon will make a difference. Right now, we're in a waxing phase. The energy is up. If we were in a waning phase, the energy would be low. So that 12th house moon, or the moon being in my 12th house, would probably hit me so much harder during a waning phase than a waxing phase. So while it is a time for me to cocoon, it may not be so draining. So I said Gemini is in my first house, Taurus is in my 12th house. So what is the 12th house all about? I'm going to go ahead and give you what Yasmin writes about it. So it's the deepest, darkest, most sensitive part of your chart. Your fears, your spirituality, self-undoing, withdrawal, secret, or hidden enemies. So with the eclipse being there, it'll be time to reflect on those types of things. Now, when you are doing a full moon ritual, which is why I'm doing this video, is to help you figure out how to do a full moon ritual. If this is your first time doing one, I'm going to give you some questions to go over, and then I will guide you on what to do for your ritual, and then how that will help you set your new moon intentions come December when the new moon starts. So this is not a time to start any new goals or set any new intentions. That happens during the new moon. It doesn't mean that, if let's say that you have a meeting and you're starting a project that, oh my gosh, everything's going to get set in fire. It just means that it may not go as smoothly had it been happening around the new moon time, because the full moon is more of the climax, is more when you're in the middle of the nitty gritty. So if you set new moon goals 2 weeks ago, you may be feeling that momentum going on. You might be feeling really energized and really seeing a lot of the results. Now, if you're feeling the opposite, let's say you set goals during the Scorpio new moon, and right now you feel like everything's falling apart, which is completely possible because of the eclipses, that's okay. What you then do is just take a moment to really reflect, and that's really what a full moon ritual should be: a time to reflect, rest, review, course correct, do what you need to do, and then figure out, is this a goal that I still want to work on next month? Is this a goal that I want to put on pause? Or is this a goal I just want to throw out to the trash? Which all three are completely appropriate. Don't ever feel like you have to stick to anything. What's most important is really doing some reflection on, is this something that I'm still excited about? Ask yourself, is this particular goal something that I'm still excited about? Something that many of us don't ask at all most of the time. So with this full moon in Taurus, here are 5 questions that Yasmin says that you should really consider. So the 5 questions are, oh my gosh, the first question's always funny. Have I been lazy or overly self-indulgent this month? So look back in the month. Have you been lazy, self-indulgent? This laziness sometimes is a way to self-sabotage, right? So did you set a goal that you were going to apply to 5 jobs, or even start a job search, but the thought of doing it just didn't happen, and quote unquote being lazy? All right, question number 2. Have you been too obsessed with money or status symbols? So have you been chasing a goal purely for money, right? So let's say that you are looking at jobs and you're only looking at what the salary is paying, not even concerned about whether it's something that you want to do or something you're passionate about. This may be something you need to reflect on. Are you chasing a title? Are you chasing a certain amount of money that you believe will make you happy? And money doesn't make anyone happy. It doesn't matter if you have millions. Really, it's the inner work. I would love to, I remember hearing, do I want to cry in a Maserati or in a bus? I mean, I would rather be cried in a Maserati than a bus. But really, all jokes aside, doing that self inner work so that you can enjoy that Maserati, right? Or whatever your dream car is. By the way, I don't know why I said Maserati, because it's not my dream car, but for some people it might be. All right, number 3, have you been stubborn, jealous, or possessive? This is a great time to reflect on those things. Have you been stubborn, jealous, or obsessive? Because this is something that Taurus sign is known for. And so since it is a full moon, it is a good time to start to think about that so that you can start releasing some of that. All right, now question number 4. Have I been doing too much comfort eating? So have you been doing too much comfort eating? Maybe perhaps instead of doing a job search, you decided I'm gonna go and cook a batch of cookies, right? Because making a batch of cookies is so much more fun than looking for a job. Have you been doing that too much? Have you been, ordering out too much? Just reflect on some of the things you might have been doing as comfort. Doing them and you enjoy them, that's not a problem. It's when it's a comfort, right? When it is becoming, kind of eating your emotions, that it is an issue. All right, and the last one kind of relates to this one. Have I done enough exercises? Have you made the time for your physical wellness? It is super important that you do. I'm not saying you need to go train for a marathon or that you need to pick up some weightlifting routine, but have you taken the time to be physically active, or have you spent too much time on the couch? It's important that you move your body. We are mind, body, spirit. So you need to be moving your body because it's so good for you. It helps clear your mind. It helps clear your soul from all the things that may be going on. All right. So those are questions to think about during this full moon in Taurus. And now, all right. Now to doing a full moon forgiveness and release, right? So you can write down what I'm telling you and then you can come back, but you can do this practice preferably outdoors because it does involve setting something on fire. But if you aren't able to set something on fire, there's other ways that you can do things, okay? So every full moon is a great time to release whatever it is that is bothering you. Of course, each full moon has a different flavor, so it's going to be in a different part of your chart. For me, it's on my 12th house, right? And if you remember what that's about, it's about spirituality, it's my deepest secrets, it's my inner core, my wound. So I would need to do some reflecting on that. Maybe asking myself, what are some inner wound, core wound issues that are coming up right now that I need to release and work through? So what you would do is, first thing you do is you would write a list of 3 to 5 things that you want to forgive and release during this lunar cycle. This can be anything that you want it to be. It could be related to money. It could be related to laziness. It could be related to any of those questions that I asked earlier, or something completely different, right? It can be like, I forgive my mother for a certain situation, right? So for me, that thought just came through. So that is something for me to reflect on. When someone asks you, what are you ready to forgive or release? Whatever's the first thoughts that come to mind is the best thing for you to think about, like reflect on. So my mom popped in my mind, so it's really important then I go and reflect on that. And so then, after you write that down, do some reflection, do a cleansing. You can do cleansing in different types of ways. You can use sage. You can actually just take a bath or a shower. Actually take a bath, not a shower. So a bath is not a cleansing in the same sense. A bath is more like relaxation. So you can go take a shower in the water and you can envision the water cleansing you, helping you release some of this. As you get the piece of paper that you write down the information or the things that you are forgiving and releasing this lunar cycle, then you can take that piece of paper and safely light it on fire. So if you have a fireplace, that's a good spot. If you don't have a fireplace, maybe you could do it in your sink if that is safe. Not all sinks are safe because not all of them are made out of porcelain. So if you're not sure and you really don't want to set anything on fire, another thing that you can do is you can crumple up the piece of paper and then go put it under some dirt and let the earth take over and release that and transform that energy. Now if you're thinking like, well, I don't have a pot, I don't have a dirt, then you can also just go ahead and tear it into pieces and throw it out with the trash. So that's like one of the other ways that you can do that. So that is it for today. Remember that If you want to get specific on what area of your life the full moon in Taurus is affecting, you want to look at your rising sign and then go from there to see what house. If you'd love to leave a comment, I can help you by letting you know what it is. And also, since I'm here, I wanted to share that I have started a crystal shop. So way too many crystals. That's another story for another episode. But I have started a crystal shop, so you can go. The link will be down in the details, and you can see, like, so for example, I was trying to see what crystals I had nearby. I haven't posted these yet, but by the time this video is out, I probably will. So these are amethyst towers, and so you can get these, but then I also have some mystery boxes that you can purchase as well. And if you have any questions about crystals, about which crystal might be good for you during this time, like for example, actually amethyst would be really great for me to sit and meditate with, since it helps, you know, with the higher chakras. And so it'd be great for me to sit and meditate, maybe create a crystal grid with amethyst to help me during this full moon eclipse. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'd love to hear what you think about this video, so please leave me a comment